What is up guys, Andy Forrester, Dean Runner here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm giving you guys my first impressions of the Puma Deviate Nitro ELITE 2. So I've been wanting to test a Puma racing shoe for a while now. Been testing a lot of their daily trainers and loving the Forever Run Nitro this year. So delighted to finally get one of their racing shoes in for some good testing. And that's exactly what I did today. Excited to share all that with you. But first, let me just quickly say this is indeed a shoe that's been provided by Puma to me for the purpose of review. However, they have no editorial control over this video. They don't know my thoughts and they're not going to see anything before you guys get to see it here on YouTube. Lots to talk about today. Really excited for this one. We're going to be going through how I used it, what the session was, technical overview, and then of course give you guys my first impressions. Lots of positives, but I think one major drawback. Well, major, minor, we'll see. I'll let you decide that one. If you're excited for today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. Let's dive in. So today's session that I decided to use this shoe on was a nice one. It was 10 minutes tempo with a 90-second recovery. I should just very quickly say that I'm transitioning from 10K training into half marathon training. So this was an ideal session for me to test this on one long sustained effort, which came out around 5:27 per mile. And then I had 10 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off, but not the usual hard, slow, hard, slow. It was overs and unders, meaning I had to stay in and around tempo pace and go slightly under and slightly over. Didn't quite manage it, but I did relatively well and I'm pretty happy with the split. So I did that after the 10-minute tempo. That came out really well, and I think my overall pace for the run ended up being 5:47 per mile. And let's get straight into the tech. I went true to size in this shoe, UK size 13, which is brilliant. Didn't need to size it up or down. And we're talking about an 8mm drop. We've got 36mm of stack height in the heel and 28 in the forefoot, which felt very nice. And in my UK size 13, it came in at 279 grams or 9.9 ounces. And as always, we'll work our way from the heel counter, talk about the ankle collar, tongue, lacing, upper, midsole, and then move our attention to the outsole. Shouldn't take too long. It's a racing shoe, right? So let's whiz through this. We've got a mono mesh upper, which goes all the way around the top of the shoe. Really, really nice. It's got odd strips of power tape here and there, over the shoe, around the front there. Just little bits of reinforcement, I guess, in higher wearing and stressed areas. But overall, a very lightweight upper. Feels nice on foot. You get a good feeling when you lock it down, but we'll talk about that shortly. We'll move our attention back to the heel here. As you can see, not too much of a cutout under the ankle bone, but that's, I think, because the back heel flare here doesn't come up as high, because this fits really nicely. Very much get the racing flat vibes from this shoe, but overall very, very comfy, nice and flexible, kind of what you expect in a race day shoe. There is a little bit of something back here, a little bit of structure. It's nothing crazy. It allows a bit of spring back, but overall very, very flexible. What's really nice is this bumper cushioning. Actually very plush. I've tested a lot of racing shoes and speed day shoes with bumper cushioning around the back here. This is quite a thick amount, and it does really like cradle the Achilles and under the ankle bone nicely. So it was very, very comfortable when I slipped the foot in. In terms of the tongue, we've got a paper thin tongue here, which is very, very nice. Sits over the top of the foot nicely, doesn't come up too high, also isn't cut too low, but there is a little bit of cushioning over the top of it as you go further down, just basically over where you're cinching the laces to protect the top of the foot. And that feels really, really good. Standard lacing system. I'd say there's less eyelets. I mean, just from looking at it, you've got 5 eyelet holes there. I'm sure there's usually 6 or 7, but I'd have to count. It might be me imagining things, but when I was cinching the laces up this morning, I thought, there's less eyelet holes here. But we do have the standard runner's knot one here that you can use, if, as I said, if you want to do the runner's knot, the extra eyelet hole there. And that was really good. Got a good lockdown feeling. I think the one thing to say, laces, a little bit stretchy. So I did lose tension over the run. The laces didn't come loose, they felt great. What I did notice when I locked the shoe down before the start of the workout, it felt really good, nice and snug, secure, kind of what you want from a racing shoe. Towards the end as I finished, I just felt like the tension had gone in the top of the foot, so my foot wasn't moving around by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a little bit less snug, a little bit more wiggle room. So I guess that's something that just works in with time. Get 2, 3, 4 runs in it, cinch it a bit more, and it probably works in just fine. And as I said, the monomesh upper goes all the way around. Really, really nice, very breathable, lightweight, and a comfy upper with some overlays of the Puma logo, the Puma there. And yeah, not too much more to say about that. Very, very nice. Nitro Elite foam, lovely stuff. Really nice, soft cushioned. Very responsive, love it. I mean, I've been testing a lot of Puma shoes with the normal Nitro foam, and I love that, to be honest with you. Obviously, the Nitro Elite foam is safe for their premium racing shoes and other shoes. I mean, it's really, really nice. I do like it. That combined with their power plate, carbon plate, which runs throughout the shoe, gives a nice standard. I mean, we've all run, or a lot of us have run in a lot of carbon plated shoes. You get the gist with these things. You get the nice foam, you get the carbon plate, you get that lovely pop sensation. This foam is on the softer end of the spectrum, so you get that lovely kind of, I don't know, when you go through your stride with this shoe, it feels really smooth and you get a lot of bounce back off it. So I really do enjoy it. Lower stack than a lot of racing shoes, but it does feel really, really nice. So good stuff there. Puma grip outsole, very good this morning, ran on wet roads, good traction, no fear of slipping. That was really good. Obviously, if you've seen a lot of reviews on the channel, you know a lot of shoes don't always have the best grip. I highly rate this grip. Puma grip is decent. I've used it in a lot of shoes before. I really do rate it. Back here, and at the top here. And as you can see here, this is all exposed midsole foam. And there we go, that is it for the tech. So now you know how I've used it, now you know the tech of the shoe. How did I find it to run in? Well, it was a bit of a dream, to be honest with you. I mentioned at the start, there's a little bit of a major, minor negative, which we'll get to shortly, but I've just got to say, it lived up to everything I wanted it to live up to when it comes to, I've tested a fair few Puma shoes now. I really do enjoy them. I think they've nailed on their foams. I love a lot of their foams. The only Puma shoe I've never really got on with is the original Deviate Nitro. I just was not a fan of that. Big, clunky, bottom heavy, just, yeah, not my cup of tea. Otherwise, tried the Liberate Nitro, great fast speed day shoe. I'm running in the, what am I running in now? As I said, the Forever and Nitro. And right now on my feet, I have the original, are these the Velocity Nitros? I think these are the Velocities. And these are what I'm wearing on a casual daily basis because I've got over 100 miles in them. So I do really genuinely love Puma shoes. And as I said, this is really, really solid. Lockdown, felt good. As I said, the laces, I think it's going to take 2, 3, 4 runs to really kind of cinch to the point where it's comfortable. I think it's just because the laces are a little bit stretchy. And as I said, 2, 3, 4 runs after cinching them a bit more, I think I'll get there with those. Love the lockdown feel, love the cushioning at the back. Midsole foam, brilliant. Carbon plate, great, very snappy sensation, but you do get a nice soft feeling. Grip is brilliant. I think the one major or minor downfall with this shoe is the weight, which I know sounds really crazy, but for me, and it's very difficult because obviously I appreciate in my reviews I put on weights that are relative to my UK size 13, so I don't often put weights on, which I probably should start doing really, of the standard like men's UK size 8 or 9 or whatever the standard size is. I have to say, a lot of my racing shoes, I think the Vaporflies are 250-ish grams. I think I can't remember what all the other ones are, but a lot of them float in that 250, 260 area. And when you get into 280 to 290 grams, for me, in my size, that's when you're getting into the really fast, lightweight speed day trainers, but not quite racing shoes. And I think that that's where this thing falls into. Now, looking at some of Puma's other racing shoes like the Fast R, that looks, and I've heard, is a lot more like a Vaporfly. I don't know weights on it, and I'm assuming it's a little bit lighter, but I've heard some amazing things about that one. I feel like this one is what I would class as an entry-level carbon-plated shoe. And do you know what it reminds me of? The Rocket X, the original Rocket X from Hoka, a shoe that I absolutely adored, loved. I thought it was fantastic, but I never thought I would race in it. I put a ton of miles in that shoe, and it was one of my favourite long run shoes, favourite workout shoes. I did so many runs in it, just as I'm going to in this thing. but it didn't quite cut it as a racing shoe. And as it's marketed as a racing shoe, I think that's where you can see it as a major or a minor drawback. I think I've just got to be brutally honest here and say it's a wonderful shoe, it's brilliant, but it doesn't fall into the racing category for me, I'm afraid. So yeah, it's going to get a load of miles in it. It's going to get a lot of use, but I'm not 100% sure it's something I'm going to want to race in. I just think it's going to provide miles and miles of comfort as I'm putting in all the training. But yeah, overall, I think in terms of racing side of it, it's probably not going to get a look in compared to a lot of the other racing shoes that I have. But overall, it lived up to the expectations, it lived up to what I wanted it to live up to, and I feel really good. It's going to be a great addition to my running shoe rotation, and I'm always grateful that Puma have sent me shoes, but I'm really grateful that this one turned out to be really good. As I said, the original Deviate Nitro, which was a training shoe, I was not a fan on, so I know this is the Elite, and I know it's, but they're kind of related, aren't they? So it's a training partner. I was a little bit concerned, but yeah, this thing was really, really good on the session. Running 5:27 for 10 minutes, 5:27 per mile pace in the tempo. I did go out a bit hot, but it felt really good. Doing the overs and unders, it moved well, it was swift, it was fast, it was everything I wanted it to be. So there we go. I know this shoe's been out for a while and I'd love to hear if you guys have got it, but if you haven't, hopefully it gives you an idea as to what this shoe's all about. For me, it's going to be a great training companion, it's going to get lots of miles in it, but as I said, it's probably not going to quite be the racer that I wanted it to be. Otherwise, solid offering, and I really would recommend it, especially for those training days if you want something light, fast, nimble with a carbon plate in it. That's it from me, guys. I'd love to hear if you guys have picked this one up. As I said, it's been out a while, so I know that a lot of you guys will have got it already. I'd love to hear how many miles you've got in it, what your thoughts are, and what you use it for. Have you raced in it, or do you reserve it just for training? Be great to hear those comments down in the comments section below. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and also do consider subscribing to the channel for weekly running content. See you on the next one. Until then.